Welcome to the Journey to Wholeness, a podcast by I See My Baby Incorporated. Here, we dive deep into powerful stories of those who have overcome life's greatest challenges, stories of resilience, healing, and renewed faith. I'm Alicia Hurt, your host, and each week we'll speak to individuals who have transformed struggles with infertility, battles with depression, and crisis of faith into profound growth and purpose. Hello, everyone. It's Alicia Hurt here, your servant leader, for another episode of the Journey to Wholeness. I have a special guest here. All my guests are special. Hi, Miss Ashley Holmes. How are you?
I'm wonderful, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, ma'am. So, can you tell us a bit about you, your background, and what brought you to your journey to wholeness?
Really, I think my path chose me, and I birthed my holistic fertility coaching business from my own fertility struggles and my own path, and quote unquote, doing it the hard and the easy way, and offering to women what the traditional medical world does not. So, holistic practices that they can use, that they can embody, and nourishment that they can do from the comfort of their own home that has zero side effects and only positive benefits.
Awesome. So, let's get into it. Tell us a little bit about your journey with infertility.
So, over a decade ago, I'm living in Canada. That's where I'm coming to you from. But I went to a fertility clinic because I was having difficulty conceiving for 18 months. And so I went down that route of using a clinic, and I had unexplained infertility, and the doctors never gave me any answers. Even after I conceived twins and had twins, I still walked away from that experience not thinking that I could conceive on my own or that I could have any more children. And so I didn't want to use a clinic again personally because of the mental and emotional toll that it took on me. And so I didn't think I could have any more children. And when my twins were young, they're 11 now, I landed on my yoga mat and began to dive deeper to understand the mind body spirit connection, to begin to incorporate and practice this ancient wisdom that has been around for so long, and to really change the way that I treated myself and my body, and to really learn how to heal and nourish myself, because these things often aren't taught in our society, but they are so important, not only on the fertility journey, but for our longevity and to have a long, healthy life. And so that is what I offer, because it helped me to be able to conceive naturally and holistically within 6 months compared to the first time around. And it felt way better in mind, body, and spirit. My little one is 6, so there's a huge age gap between my children. But I learned so much, and that is the best learning that I ever discovered, was how to truly understand my body, to work with my body, not against my body unconsciously, to understand the mind plays a huge role in our day-to-day lives and how it can be our best friend or our worst enemy, and to really become conscious and aware of that and the thoughts that are running on repeat, and to learn to give myself love and grace, throughout the whole journey, and to really come home to myself, to remember that I am exactly where I need to be, and that I sometimes need to learn to surrender control and to let things go, and to really trust that I'm exactly where I'm meant to be, and to trust my body.
Yes, you said a whole lot. Let's unpack it. So, 18 months, what did that look like? Did you try different, like, so for me on my infertility journey, I remember they said, well, after intimacy, put your legs up on the wall for a certain amount of time. So, like, what did your 18 months look like when you were trying to conceive?
Initially, they look like a whole lot of denial, as well as all of the things that you mentioned. And then once I started with the clinic, then I started to take fertility drugs. And so for me, it was Clomid, that led to my twins. I didn't have to go the whole IVF route. But that's where I was headed because they had said this should have worked by now. We're going to move on to the next protocol. And it was in that waiting period, it was in that waiting time when the pressure was not, I still had medication, but it wasn't working right. And that's when I actually conceived, was I wasn't putting the amount of stress and pressure on myself to make this happen. And so I really think it's important to understand the energetics behind that we're coming and that we're approaching our fertility journey with, because often it is all sort of masculine energy and there's no feminine energy accompanying that. And we really want to have that balance in mind, body, and spirit, and really be able to bring that, all of us. And,
Yes.
that is a holistic and wholesome way to conceive.
So you talked about, battling with things in your mind and taking control. Tell us about during that 18 months, like how did that work begin? Because, you sound strong, you sound like you've been doing your work, but during the 18 months, like how did you feel mentally? Did you go through depression at all?
I really was searching for things to help me and not being able to find what I was looking for. I would go to the bookstore and I have this book and it's still on my shelf. And it was like this toolkit book with things like emotional freedom technique and, body scans and all these things. But I didn't have the bandwidth or the capacity to know or to understand how to do those things for myself. I would have needed someone like me to
Right.
guide me through those things, to help me through those things, to understand actually how relaxation feels in my body, and to realize that I wasn't relaxed at all, that I was very stressed out.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with you because you can have all the resources, all the tools, all the information, but if you're not there, if you don't know how to use them, you're so right. It just goes, like you said, on that shelf. It'll be on that shelf. So you talked about the practice of yoga. Educate or enlighten those that really don't understand what that is. You hear about yoga, but what's important about it?
There's so many things important about it, but what I really want to hit home today is that the practices that really transform me and my journey are not the traditional practices that you would typically see, the quick moving, fast paced, hot, heated classes. Yes, that's what initially what got me hooked, but that is not where the transformation really occurred. I studied that practice and know that practice as well. But what really helped me on my journey and what I offer primarily to my clients is yin yoga, because yin yoga works in the same way as going to acupuncture. It opens up your meridian lines in the same way, and you can move your body in the same way. And you're applying acupressure versus having needles inserted if you were to go to an acupuncture appointment. So you learn how to do these things for yourself. You learn which organs are housing which emotions. So if something is showing up for you on your fertility journey, primarily you're guided in the beginning, but you learn to know what practices to do that are going to serve you to help you move through that emotion that you are experiencing, because none of our emotions are wrong. Whatever is showing up for us is showing up for a reason. So it's really just this deep understanding and learning of how to work with your body and to move through things so that you're not energetically holding on to them. And so
Yeah.
yin yoga is very important to get into those issues in our tissues because we have them, they're there, or we wouldn't be experiencing infertility. And so the other practice that is really important is restorative yoga, because it allows for that deep healing and relaxation and to work with your nervous system to come out of fight or flight mode into rest and digest mode. This is where we want to and need to be, and it's not a one and done. We need to keep
Yeah.
resetting. We need to keep doing these things and embodying these practices so that we can be in a state of equilibrium more, where this isn't such an emotional roller coaster ride. And so, those two yoga practices, as well as a yoga nidra meditation, it's Nidra. If you haven't heard of it, it is the best meditation, in my opinion, that you can be doing on your fertility journey, because it is like yogic sleep. Your subconscious mind will take away from that practice and apply it to the layers of your being, and you cannot do it wrong. It gives you that full grace and permission that you can't do it wrong. You're breathing, you can do this practice, I promise you. And so it is really beneficial on so many levels, and really just allowing the body to find that deep state of rest and healing, because our society really doesn't prioritize rest or slowing down and learning to surrender. And we really need to embody these things, in my opinion, on our journey to help us move through it with ease and grace, and to make this process easier for us, and to heal what we have been through on this process already.
Yeah, makes sense. And you talked about the role of your mind. I know that that plays a part, a big part as well in yoga, not just the physical, but the mental. Could you give us a little more enlightenment on that?
Definitely. The mind, everything sort of starts with the mind. And so becoming the gift that meditation really gave me and can give to all of us is that I'm not my thoughts. A thought can just be a thought. I can observe my thoughts. I don't have to attach to those thoughts, and to give me some space from those thoughts so that I'm not just, on the hamster wheel going around and around and around and just getting nowhere, no further ahead. And in fact, being energetically drained and depleted because I keep thinking these same thoughts and keep having the same results, and end up feeling so frustrated and not understanding why I am where I am.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you talked about surrendering. You talked about letting go of that control. You talked about trusting. All three of those things are so hard. Or is it?
Yes. No, it sounds easier. It's easier said than done. I know that because I experienced that for myself personally on my yoga mat. But to realize that holding on was doing more harm than letting go, really, and I couldn't just say that with my mind. I had to experience that on a somatic level within my body, and to have so much more peace by being able to do so. And I think if you can have peace on your fertility journey, no matter where you're, then you are winning, because often there is so much resistance, and that is creating so much stress and tension in our mind, body, and spirit, that it is inhibiting us from being in a state of flow and allowing us to be in a receptive place for this to happen.
Yes, yes. So, how has your faith or your spirituality really shaped your healing process?
It really is just this anchor that I can connect to, and to trust that I'm divinely guided and held in all experiences and all situations, and that I'm not alone in this. Because when I was going through it, I felt very alone because no one in my inner circle or my world was relating to what I was experiencing. Therefore, I didn't talk about it at work or at home with my friends, and so it was very isolating.
Yeah.
And so I think so many women can, you know, resonate with that, because they're probably doing that too. And I know for myself, that didn't help me in my situation at all, because then you are alone with your thoughts, and you are letting those negative thoughts and that self talk go on and on.
Yes, I agree. And you're stuffing it. You're stuffing it just like you're eating your calories. You're stuffing it. You're stuffing it because you got to just put on a mask, wear a hat, and go out, go forth like nothing is going on. Can you tell you struck a nerve? You're just stuffing it. You're just stuffing it. But you've already given some practical tools with the yoga, with recentering your faith and your spirituality to really help you cope with it. And you talked about when you went on your journey with infertility that you felt alone, and that's so great to hear, because that's why my organization was built, I See My Baby, because I felt the same way. I had family around me, I had people around me, but they did not understand what it meant to say can't have a baby, or at least that's what they say. I'm having issues, this shouldn't go this way, right? So, what role has community supported you in your journey? And then now, the role that you're creating with community, how does that play in the journey to wholeness?
I think it's so important to have someone in your world who can meet you where you're at and without judgment, for you to just be okay with just being, even if that means that you feel like a hot mess. That's okay if that's where you're at the moment. And I think that there's resistance to that as well, as we feel like we have to show up and we can only present ourselves in a certain way, whereas internally that's not what's going on inside of us. So I think it is so important to find a community, to find a coach, to find a counselor, to find someone who is able to hold space for you, because it for you to be able to heal, you need to be able to be okay with where you're at in the moment. And so having someone just allow that for yourself, and to not feel like this is all upon you, that this all rests upon your shoulders, right?
Yeah.
I know that's how I felt, because my husband had been checked and the issues didn't lie with them. They were with me. And so it was like, this is all on me. If this happens or this doesn't happen, this is all on me. And then there's even more stress and there's even more pressure. And so it really is important to have that, to find your tribe. Because if it's not your family or your work circle, trust me and believe me, it is out there. And to find those people. And for me, I do offer a community for people to come to and land in, because I think it's important to feel like you can ask questions, that you can ask advice, that you can say, this is going on for me, or how can you help me? I've had a really hard month, or we're in, the holidays can be triggering and things like that, when reality isn't meeting your expectation of where you thought you would be, what you were hoping for. And, those dreams can feel far off, but to
Mm.
have people around you to help you move through that.
That's right. That's right. So, how do you maintain resilience when you're facing ongoing challenges?
Really, the important thing that I would recommend to help foster that resilience is, when things feel overwhelming, which they can and do on this journey, is to have practices that ground you, that anchor you. Because when you're feeling overwhelmed, often then we're going into our overthinking mind, and everything is coming from that space and place. And then there can be a complete disconnect between the mind and the body, right? The mind is racing and the body isn't even keeping up. So whether you ground yourself with your feet in the sand or on the grass, or you go out in the mountains and you go skiing, that's what I do where I live in the winter. That is grounding, to be surrounded by big trees and fresh air and these massive mountains. And so I think it's so important to have practices to ground yourself, or meditations to ground yourself, to come back down to earth, and to stop spinning these thoughts in our mind.
Yeah. So for those that are having a busy schedule and they're like, oh, well, I don't have time to do those type of activities. Is there any type of quick mindfulness practice you could share with us or even demonstrate for us?
Definitely. I definitely recommend, like, even before you get out of bed, before you even start your day, take a hand on your heart, take your hand on your belly, and do diaphragmatic breathing. So breathe into your chest, ribs, belly, feel that expansion, and then breathe exhaling out from your belly, your ribs, your chest. And do that. Take some conscious breaths before you even start your day, before your feet have hit the floor. And another good one that I can recommend, and this is very good for if you are overthinking in your mind, because it's going to balance both hemispheres of your brain, and that is alternate nostril breathing. So if you haven't done that, or you haven't seen that before, you take your pointer finger and your middle finger and you put them on your forehead, and your thumb will block your right nostril, and then you'll breathe through the left. Inhale, block the left, open the right, exhale through the right. all the way out, and then inhale through the right. Block the right, open the left, exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Block the left, open the right, exhale through the right. And obviously you can continue to do that for a lot longer, but even just for that short few cycles of breath, you can sort of notice the shift in your energy and your clarity. A lot of people, when they come to me, are in sort of a mental fog because they have so much going on. They're trying to do so much, and to have practices to help have focus and mental clarity can help you move through your day with a lot more ease. And so that is something you can do by yourself. You can do that before a yoga practice, and it's going to have so many benefits to your state of being and to your health and well-being.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. Well, thank you, Ashley. So, what is one message you hope listeners take away from your story?
Would really love to and invite you to sit with the concept, and this is a quote, of no mud, no lotus. And so, even if you think that you're in the thick of the mud and there's no light and there's no beauty and there's no sort of path forward, to know that that's where the beauty comes from, and that's where the transformation often begins, is from those deepest, darkest struggles. And to seek support if you're looking for support, but to know that there is beauty in store for you, and to trust in yourself and where you're at.
Awesome. So, for those that are like, "Oh, I need to get in touch with Ashley," how can they get in touch with you?
You are more than welcome to join my Holistic Fertility Coach Facebook group, and I would love to see you there. If you know someone that is struggling, I would love for you to send them my way, because if it's not you, the numbers are 1 in 6. So that is way more people that are seeking support than I feel like there is support available for them. The numbers are so high, and it is my aim for bringing healing and nourishment and hope for more people that feel like they've tried everything and nothing is working, or they're frustrated with where they're at and they don't see any other options or alternatives of what they can do for themselves. And so to really shift that locus of control from external to internal, because when that is what we can control, so when we focus on those things, then life is going to feel a whole lot better and flow a lot more easily.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time. How they say, namaste.
Oh, namaste to you. Light in me honors the light in all of you. And thank you for tuning in. I
Thank
hope that
you.
you have found this helpful on your journey.
All right. Bye.